So we just had a small chat before this recording, and I heard that you grew up with a father who had unreliable mental struggles and he had schizophrenia. And I would like to know, how did you live through this? How did you work through this? How was your studies? Like, just the whole thing about, like, what was it like? How did you manage at home with somebody like you who you looked forward to, and you had no reliable, you didn't know what was to be expected at the next moment?
Yeah, it was quite challenging during childhood, living with such a situation.
Yeah, so you felt very lonely. You had no words to even describe it to anybody, right? Like, and I guess that's the
Yeah,
reason for you to share the story. You want other people who are in this boat to realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and
yeah,
you,
absolutely.
right, you made it, and it was hard to speak about it that time, and especially challenging as growing up in that household. How was it like when I know you said you shared the first time about the growing up in this kind of environment and household with your wife? How was that? Like, how was it first time finding words to speak up? Like, what was your thought around it?
Yeah, when I was like chatting, or you can say dating my wife at the time, um, I had this thing in mind, like way before when I was like in college, that whenever I meet my future partner, I would let her know about this. I never wanted to hide this kind of a thing. It's a big aspect, right? And people should be very much aware of it. So I always had that in mind, that I would take the step and take this, gather some courage and speak
Did you
about
ever
it.
think that the person that who you may, love or wanting to get married might reject you for this? Was that a thing on your mind?
Honestly, I almost had this thought that whenever I'll speak to the person whom I want to get married about this, she would not take it well, not accept it, either her or family, and eventually I'll have a very tough time finding a partner. So I always had this thing in mind on.
Yeah, that fear was there, right? Fear of
Yeah,
getting
absolutely.
rejected and judged, right? It was your
Yeah.
own fear, right? And even to find the words, I mean, I would like to understand, how did you gather the courage to speak up for the first time?
Yeah. Yeah, it was absolutely difficult, but like I let my wife know at the time that, hey, next day I'll be talking something very important to you, something that I wanted to share about my childhood and family and things like that. And then I spoke about it. Fortunately, I have two superwomen in my life. First is my mom, and second is my wife. So she is very supportive, and she was absolutely fine with it. She understood the situation, and in fact, she had more respect for me after speaking it out. So that was really good.
Thank you, Jay, for sharing a story. I hope your story will inspire others that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. When we grow up with a parent who is so difficult,
Yeah.
it is hard at that time, but we can still find ways to, be true to ourselves and find the support that we need. And I'm glad you found it with your wife and your mother. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much.